Greetings and welcome back to Sengoku Dynasty. This is Keen Fool here. It's been a while since I've played Sengoku, and I've talked about how I wanted to do a restart and I wanted to get fresh on this one, and I'm going to take down the old playthroughs since it's been a time since those, and the new updates have a lot of new content, and I wanted to start fresh and actually get into the game and show you guys the new start and build in an area that I've always meant to build in. So let's customize this one. And the reason for this is I do want to mention this one. The fast delivery, the fast building delivery resource, I think that's worth having. I think it's really nice to have that one at the game just because you can click every single time and rapidly get through what you're building. As far as the rest of this is concerned, I don't really want to change anything else. Everything else is quite nice. So let's do this with the new combat and some of the new updates. Let's see what we can do. Here we are, back on the shores. And as you know, and if you've seen my videos before, you know that we're going to go around, we're going to gather all this stuff up. And by all means, when you explore at the start, make sure you get everything you can. We come out of this boat where we crashed on the shoreline. We come out of the boat, we're going to grab everything we see that we can make use of to get ourselves going here early in the game. And there are some recipes that are here sitting around waiting for us to unlock, and other recipes that we can get later. Now, with the new playthrough here, I want to build by the lake. Part of that is because they actually have Lotus implemented in the game now, and I'm real excited to actually have Lotus for my village. So we're going to gather up as much as we can. You'll notice that I'm holding down the interact button. For me it is E, and that is allowing me to gather sticks at a very fast pace. And it's really nice to have all these sticks because we're going to build way too many axes and pickaxes and things like that. Do I want to pickaxe first or do I want to axe first? Let's pickaxe it up first. Why not? Let's change it up. And I do find it useful to take these items that we picked up, and the hotbar slots, by the way, these work as very convenient storage areas. So with that, let's go for it. I'll pick these things out, get some more stone, and then we'll head out. I do love how much they've spent, how much time they've spent on this game trying to improve it. I really appreciate how hard the devs have been working on this. I mean, from the start, what this game looked like when I first played it compared to what this game looks like now is very different, and I'm glad that they've made so many improvements. They've been clearly working hard on this, and definitely appreciate that. So it is good to see that, and it's fun to be able to play this later on now and see how much has changed, and watch how much they've tried to improve. And I am still excited for more, as they are talking about doing more. I did see in their video that they're excited about future updates, and they were asking for feedback, like what do you want to see in this game in the future. I'm excited to add some comments to that one. In time, I'm doing some brainstorming on like what are the things that stand out. I know for me, I really want to see a way for the combat to feel relevant. Like I want there to be a reason for the combat, right? Like the combat's fine and all for, we are in historic Japan and we do think of this as a warring states period of time, but for us in this local area, there's not much of the warring states happening for us. But this idea of conflict, and of course samurai, right? All we picture is like, I want to be a samurai, I want a sword, and I want to fight. I'm going to do this. So what I'm hoping for as we get forward in the future is that you can actually fight people in different outposts or take areas, right? Because like I've always wanted to take over Iwasaki, right? Take it from that leader who is corrupt and using slave labor. Like I want to take him down and I want to take over that village. I would love for that to be a piece of this. So those kind of things stand out to me. But how do you implement that in a game? I don't know. That could be a challenge. But it is neat seeing some of those areas, those POIs, points of interest, in the distance on some of the shorelines that we can see. You notice that this is just me gathering massive amounts of resources. And I'm going to just run up here. Let's get some grasses and get ourselves going. And the reason for this, of course, is it's really nice to have this at the start, so that we can build our first village fast, right? Like I want to get started. I want to get us in this game and going. And with that, let's get that best start we can, okay? Because we've played before, we've done this a few times, and let's make that start high quality. Let's make it so that we are just sitting pretty at the start. I want to make sure y'all have a really nice beginning in this game. So let's go for it. All right, Akko, time to talk to you and get some things done. I think I also need to craft me a hammer. Perfect. And we'll put that in hotbar slot number 2. And now for these, you can press E, and you can use up and down on the arrow keys, as you may recall, to just kind of navigate those conversation choices. And then for our first thing, we're going to select, I'm sorry, I'm pressing Q that does fast craft. I press right click, and then I can go to basic structures, and then we'll go to campfire. We just need stones and sticks. Now with fast delivery, I can rapid click, and I have it. Now, since we did all these, notice I'm pressing up and down to select these. That'll help us navigate these texts. Since we can't press 1, 2, 3, or 4, which I'm sure at some point in the future they're going to implement, since I mean, that is kind of a handy thing if you're thinking about like Medieval Dynasty and games like that. You can just press 1, 2, 3, or 4 for the dialogue choices. Those are handy. I'm sure at some point they'll end up implementing that here too. It can't be too high of a priority just yet. Alrighty. Well, here we are. We're going to head in, and the next thing we can do is go into the village and get some things going. Now, what I want to do first is I want to make note of the fact that I've got this inventory that I can fill up, and I can put anything I need in. Here's my thought. When I go to build, I want to make sure I have a few things ready. This is enough sticks to make me happy. Probably more than enough sticks, let's be real. But I don't have many logs, and when I get to my destination, I would love to be able to just start building. So I'm going to take down a tree. I want to have a few logs to start with and have less work to do. And when I'm chopping down the trees, by the way, the first strike that I do against these logs is giving me a free stick. If I had an adze, I'd be getting bark. We don't need bark at the start here. And so I'm taking these logs and then we're going in. Alright, I'll see you in Seashells. As you may or may not know, if you're new to the game, then you may not know yet, there are quests that you can do early in the game which are going to give you experience and help you get your character leveled up in way of the leader. And that's going to allow you to build more things. If you did not know as well, Seashells is filled with things that you can tear down, and that's a free source of planks at the start of the game that you don't have to waste time with chopping down trees or getting an adze. So for that, we're going to get these quests started, we're going to get that bell, and then that's about it. The next thing is, my recommendation. However much time you feel like you can spend doing, I would say get these things torn down. And the reason for it is that I already have 6 planks. That's pretty good. Now let's check something here. We want to check legend because I'm pretty sure I got away with the craftsman. This is a big deal for me since I'm going to be using an axe a whole lot at the start of the game. Now that just made me spend less stamina while chopping, and you'll notice that I'm already seeing improvement. I'm chopping all the way through this building and I have stamina to spare. Yes please. Can I have some more? We can do more of that. We can have that skill improve. There it is. And then from here we can have even more time that we can be doing this. Now I will want to do some of these because they unlock trees, right? They extend outwards. I do think that I'm going to be stuck chopping for a while, and I think that that's totally worth it since I do not want to spend my whole time doing this. And the reason why I picked up a ton of sticks and stones is right there, because I can just keep recrafting my stone axes before I go. Before we go, it's really helpful to gather up these because you get free straw of the deal and it unlocks some recipes for you. So this is a nice little thing to gather before we get out of here. And with that, we are going to get out of here. You'll notice I did not clear this entire area out. Well, at some point, I need inventory space. I'm going to need those inventory spaces because we are going to sally down the seashore, salaciously sating our... Anyway, trying to gather seashells by the seashore. We're going to do that because seashells are a very convenient way to start ourselves out in the game and get a little injection of money into our pockets so we can do a few things. It is nice because it is something that requires not a lot of time from us, and it is something we can easily do. Do they regenerate? Well, we aren't going to care because we are going to have buildings for that. So we do go out here and gather all these things up. I think you can find yourself being quite rich at the start of the game if you do this and take the time to do so. You may notice every once in a while you pick up a pearl. A pearl is worth quite a bit more, as a matter of fact. It's kind of handy. And we are going to gather these things up traveling on the shoreline. Now, for y'all, there is going to be a little bit of danger in doing this because it's possible you run into some bandits on the way through shore. It's early in the game, and I'm tempted to be... tempted to fight somebody, but I also don't want to end up dying when I'm sitting here carrying my entire village's future in my inventory, right? Like, I have everything that we're going to use to build a village up right here. I'd hate to have all of this go away. By the way, you can do the inventory system in this game. It goes by stacks with no limit on the amount of weight. So you'll see that these are differing amounts of stacks. Sticks are stacks of 50, logs are single stacks, and seashells are 30 stacks. So you'll notice I left room for a total of 5 stacks. That's not counting the pearl, which will definitely take away from what I have, but I can always eat some of those lingonberries that are sitting there and go for it. And save myself an inventory slot. And also help my character be less hungry. We can also use those lingonberries for recipes, but honestly at only 5 lingonberries we can solve that problem later. And we will solve all of these problems later as we go. So, see you after a little bit of gathering, and I would definitely recommend that we travel down the seashore for as long as you are willing to do this for. And then we're going to gather up some locations for villages, start some quests out, and go from there. Do I have the advantage of hindsight and the fact that I've done this before? Yeah, I do. But it is helpful to get a nice start and get ourselves building that village right away. And if you want to start fresh with no spoilers, then by all means just skip to the part where I'm building the village. For newer players, when you're walking down the shoreline and you're walking in the woods, you notice people who are out and about, and you'll notice question marks on your navigation bar, your compass. These people can be enemies. You'll know they're enemies because they'll be wandering around. They'll have bandit clothes on. You'll notice the bandit headband. It's kind of a good thing to tell it apart. And also, if you see any weapons on them at all, they are definitely bandits and they will definitely fight you. You can generally outrun them in the early part of the game. People with an icon like this are refugees looking for a village to live in. You can talk to them and invite them into your village. As long as you have a house for them, you're set, and then you can give them a job and you can work on management with them. We've collected a few pearls. We're pretty close to being done collecting shells at this point. Now, one thing to note though is it is still early in the game in the development, and if you take on a villager right now, they will just simply wait until you build a house. It will say villager departing, which is true. They will depart eventually, but I've noticed that you can pretty much get a house in before that generally. At least that's been the way it's worked for me. I would say don't go too crazy on it, since you can always come back here anytime and get them. Something to note though is that people like this on the shoreline, they won't be back. They will be here for the season, and then the next season they won't be there. It'll be random placements around. Now this is the rebel village, and just because it's the rebel village doesn't mean that they are actually going to attack you. Although at some point I am kind of hopeful that they will, right? Like that could be a lot of fun, that you would have to fight these rebels. You may note as well that there are some lootable areas. Here we go, look at that. Like here's some food. I'm in a tough spot though because I can't... Oops. I'm in a tough spot because I can't just take these things. So eat these. And let's see here, what's worth the most? 35, huh? We'll take these. Let's take those things. And then I could take those, but I can't put them in my inventory, so we gotta sell. And with all these seashells, it is handy, right? It's nice to have a large inventory full of things, but one of my problems I have is that I've definitely overstocked my inventory with stuff. So now I gotta find a way to either, take a fall, and find a place to sell. I do believe we end up with a person you can sell to before we leave here. Oh my, they actually walked right by me. Or did I walk right by them? That's more apt. Nope. Alright, there's the cook. So now this person has 699 coins. Well, I'd be happy to separate some of their money from them. And now we have some more coin to our name. Now we have 690 coin ourselves. I haven't opened up an inventory slot yet, which is unfortunate, but I did gain myself more space to gather up seashells. So we'll just do that. And with this, we can always come back here and loot this village. There are some free items just kind of sitting around in the village that you can take. So when you come back here, there are places you can go in this area and you can get, I believe, some clothing, and we'll be back for that. Yet another random encounter to have. A person looking to get into a village, and we can definitely take them on later. This is a future quest. You'll be repairing this temple, and I do happen to love this particular one because it's neat seeing it finished. And for the spiritual aspect of the game, it's fun to think that you're doing this work to help appease the gods, and I'm wondering if they will actually have an impact on things as you go through the game, and if that's going to be something that they will implement. So for this, you can actually start this quest by talking to her. I can't because I have an absolutely overstocked inventory, and I really don't want to sit here and do anything with that. So I'll come back to her. But for now, I'm going to leave this area, and we're going to go overland. And the reason for this is that I'm pretty full up in my inventory. We're going to follow this road to Segi, my apologies, and then we're going to go to our future home, and then to Aratani. I could always continue down this shoreline and pick up more seashells, and if you want to, by all means, there they are for you to take anytime you need. So with this going down the road, it tends to be mostly safe. in the sense that as long as you're willing to run, you should be able to make it through all this area. Now, I said I was following that road, and here it is. In this game, you can do a number of things to gather resources. You can pick up things from the ground, like these stones here, the grasses as well. You will chop down trees to get logs, of course. You can also buy them from people, but they do tend to be a little more pricey now. They used to be very cheap. Making planks is done with the adze, which is one of the tools you can construct, and early on in the game you're making everything out of stone, which is fine, since the stone tools do break, and you have access to stones and sticks everywhere you turn, so it's not too bad. As far as making clothing is concerned, does it matter? No. As far as things are concerned right now, it's not really a big deal to have different clothing on yet. It will in time, since you'll have kind of like the Souls light version of combat, which I do love that that's their style of doing things, is getting an entertaining way of feeling like you're in a visceral combat, but not being over the top like Souls would be. Alright, here we go. We pressed F to trade. 16 in this stack. Good, I can sell it all. There we go. Oh, and she can't afford anything. Now this is a spot where we could say, do I want anything that you have? And there is an early quest here that we can take on. And we can, yes, solve our problems with money, because that happens. I'm going to sell to this gentleman here. And right now, I am really just doing this because I want the money, right? I want to get my village started up, and I want to get it started up with a good collection of coin so that we can do a lot with our future. There is a future quest here. This bowmaker is actually a Fujichi. And now that we're down here, look at this. We have a very good collection of coin. 2,790. I don't want to talk to that guy. I want to talk to this guy. Alright, so now he's going to give me a quest, by the way. And later on, you will definitely see this one come up. But I can talk to him. I could trade with him. I could buy 10 of his fur. Now, is that worth 400 coin? It's up to you, whether you think this is worthwhile or not. I find it worthwhile because I'm done with the quest, right? And now I don't have to do this later. There we go. Now he's telling me that I have to do more things. I have to get, what is it? I have to bring him a bow, I believe, right? So I'm going to need to get to a point where I can do that. Now there's more people to sell to, so let's go for it. Are we going to be, ooh, there we go, we're getting closer. And a lot of things you can buy. Sake is very expensive, but you can make it later. Tea is great for your people for beverages, very handy. And water is pretty easy to get at, so we won't worry too much about that. Alright, let's cross this here river. And we've unlocked a fast travel location with Segi, and we've also found a number of great things to do. There are projects in this game, and these special projects are done across the seasonal changes. Which means that you need to... Wolves are a problem for me early in the game. Like I said, you can run from your problems, but if I run out of stamina, I'm unfortunately going to be in a tough spot. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's the tough spot I'm talking about. Now, I don't really want to encounter the wolves, and there's two bandits. So here we are. We're in a little bit of a tricky place. I do not want to have to fight the wolf because I'm not confident that this stone knife is going to do much for us right off the bat. I'm intrigued by this area. This is nice, flat area. It's, looks like there's going to be a future thing here. When you choose your start location, you want to choose it based upon appearances, because it should be beautiful, right? You should enjoy it. I do have a video about best start locations if you want to check it out. I still think those hold true. I think those are still aging well comparing the different updates. And you also want to make sure you have some resources that are handy. In other words, you saw that I walked by that orangish, tannish, terracotta colored stuff of clay. I do, more clay. I do want to make sure I have access to clay. I want access to stone, and I want access to water. Now, water can be gotten from a well, of course, but I also like the beauty of living near water, and it's also handy because I know that this lake is where you harvest ice in the winter, and it's also a spot where you get lotus in the summer. But I absolutely just love the fruit trees, right? I want to make this into a beautiful pathway connecting two villages, which is my ultimate goal. Okay, let's do this. To start our first village, we're going to do village structures, and we're going to find the bell. There it is. And then we need to place it somewhere. When you place the bell, it makes a circle around it that you can build within. I want to be able to build part of my extended village here. I kind of like the idea that the bell is near the roadway. I think it just makes some sense. And from here, you'll notice it's all sticks and logs. Part of the reason why I collected all those logs at the beginning is I really just wanted to be able to have this thing here. Okay, from here, I have an overstacked inventory, which is a real problem. I can click and drag things so that I can make my inventory a little less disorganized, but it's time to build some things. And I believe we told him that we were going to build a house. So let's take care of that. Where do I want to live, and what do I think about this area? Now, you may think about placing a home and you may realize, oh man, what if I don't want to have this thing here in the future? What if this is not actually where I wanted this house? Nice thing about this is you can already see at the bottom where it says T to move building. You can move your buildings anytime you want, and it's super handy. It is definitely one of the things that I very much appreciate that they did for this game, is to make it so that if I make a mistake in my building and I don't like where I placed something, the penalty is I have to move it, rather than having to rebuild the thing completely from scratch, which is sometimes a bit of a pain, and it takes a long while. Oh, look at that, another broken axe. I think we're at axe count of 4 by now. With the logs, it's not going to matter what type of log you have initially. Now, where can I gather so many logs? Rome wasn't built in a day, Edo wasn't built in a day, and Kyoto wasn't built in a day either. But we're going to build a nice village in a day here, alright? So with the fast delivery of resources, I am rapid fire clicking. You can probably hear that in the background. That is the advantage of having that on, and that's why I definitely suggest that you turn that one on, just because then you can just rapid click through this and run the risk of massive amounts of carpal tunnel. I'm kidding, of course not. I would hope not. There we go. And since we collected all those grasses, we're good. You'll notice that your early primitive tools, yeah, you spend a lot of time on that. Okay, quick tip here. When you're doing this, right click. Go to furniture, go to house furniture, go to beds, sleeping mat, and then go ahead and put one right here, and then build that beast up. Oh, one more grass, oh no. So we need one more grass, and you might have noticed a sound out there. That sound is the sound of a wolf, which is another concern for certain village placements. I am actually going to be in a little bit of a bind here because I am near a wolf spawn area, which that's not great. We'll kind of deal with that in time. But to focus back on that tip, every person that you're going to have in your village needs a bed. Well, that's fine and good, but each house can accommodate more than one bed. The better the house, the more beds you get. You get two per house style, right? So essentially, when I say that, I mean 2 beds per small house, 4 beds total for standard house, and 6 beds for large house. You obviously have to unlock those in time. Now this house is my first, and it's going to be the makeshift style, and that's fine. You will notice that there's some trees that tell you they get sticks and firewood, and they're really not a good source of firewood. Firewood is better sourced out of the woodworking hut, and that is where we're going to aim to go. I wouldn't mind having 2 houses right away at the start, but the thing I really want to have right away is a dynasty storage, a general storage, because I do not want to sit here and carry all of these goods the whole time. I am going to choose to put my dynasty storage somewhere conveniently near, oh look at that, I got a stump there. If you get rid of a stump with a shovel, you'll be in a good spot because you get a log out of the deal. If you decide to sit here and hack at it all day long, which actually is surprisingly quick, you just get a couple sticks out of the deal, which is funny when you think about actually trying to remove stumps. It's such a process. There we go. We'll do this, and of course I'm going to need more logs. We got ourselves a collection of logs. Now, I do want to change this. Ooh, I gotta be dynasty level 5. Then fine, we'll keep it as this then. Never mind. I was gonna say let's change the front to look a little better. And again, one of the nice things here is I don't have to be concerned about where I place this thing. Yeah, I am a little concerned that I want it easy to get at, and I have it near the fast travel location so that I can get stuff out of it quick and travel. But I can move this thing anytime I want. Now, I am building that extra house, apparently. I love that I did that to myself. I decided to build a second house right there. That's not where I want that. Alright, let's do this. So, when I go here, I need to get my house, I need to be looking at the foundation. That's the trick with this. So sometimes it's a little dicey. I'll press T, and I'm already moving my building. I don't want a house there. Are you kidding me? Houses should be next to each other. That's what I'm talking about. Now let's actually build the dynasty storage. There we go. Alright, so for storage buildings, we go to storage, and we go to general. There we go. And Let's put it right there. You will note some of your trees are, boom, harder to get than others, and those premium ones are going to get you better logs. You'll have people to do that when you have a woodcutter's hut though, but it is worth noting that you do need better technology as we go. And again, watching out for those wolves, because I am in an area where they live. So as we go here, we are going to try to be mindful of where they're at. Now, where you build is totally up to you, right? And I would suggest that you build an area that makes sense for you and you enjoy it. I happen to think that as a new player, building over the ruins of Seashells is very satisfying from a gameplay perspective, because it feels like you are the hero coming in to actually help the people rebuild, and that you're taking a village that was destroyed and saying, hey, no, what I really want to do is I really want to start myself off by helping you out and becoming a part of this community. So for me, that felt like the best storyline start. I'm starting here with y'all, and I'm rebuilding this village with you as a hero of the people, right? To restart the peasant kingdom. So that one I find is an awesome start. And also, you have all of the resources you could ever want right by you. You have clay in the mountain area next to you, in the hillside area. You have seashells in the seashore. And you have a nice free access to a large number of things that you can make use of. Alrighty, with this, you can hold down the shift key and then click, and it'll drop stacks of things over to the other side. I find that to be a really handy thing to be able to do right now, since I don't want to be carrying all this stuff around. And the next step for me, I'm going to carry some sticks and stones, because we already know that I'm going to be rebuilding a whole lot of things. And it is almost the end of day one, which means that I'm going to count that as a boundary for me to say, hey, you've had time, it's time to move on. Let's finish this day up, let's wrap this first day up as our best start to say that, yeah, we didn't build Kyoto in a day, but let's see just how much we can build in a day. We do have to get back to Akko. We have to get to her, and we have to show her that we have a village started and get her a home. We also can take on a couple more villagers. I have no jobs for them yet, but I do have a place for them to stay. Do I have food for them yet? Well, no, and that's a problem too. But we're about to solve that problem pretty well. You'll notice that I'm running down the road here. My goal is to get here. Now you notice it does show me where the bandits were. Those bandits will be there until the season changes. If I choose to go back and fight them, great, I can take them down. I'm going to try to get you all started up here really nice by having a couple different locations already found, and let you know about some of the things that are about in the area. You'll notice down here there's some plants that seem suspiciously different colored in the distance, which is almost like it's worth looking into. And for sure, it definitely is. This is an old rice paddy and a fairly significant farm from a long time back. And these are going to be wild rice. Or at least rice anyway. Perhaps not wild in the sense that this obviously was a cultivated area, but at this point, seems pretty wild. So we'll harvest this up. Why would we do this? Well, because it's giving us free rice, which is nice. And also we can craft a bag that can allow us to make make it so that we can plant rice ourselves. We will need leather, of course, for that, which is something that is we have to solve in the future. A problem we have to solve in the future. We're going to cross this river, and definitely we are hitting that part of the day where it is night, which is a silly thing to say. And we are running right into here. This is Aratani, and they've definitely changed Aratani, which I absolutely love. It's so much prettier now. They've added a little more space. They're making it look a little more vibrant. I do think the nighttime with these rays from the moonlight is gorgeous. Sorry about that. As we step into Aratani, I was trying to see if I could increase my gamma, increase the brightness, and unfortunately I forgot to unpause it. So when you come into here, you're going to talk to her, and she's going to give you a quest line. She's going to tell you to bring her 50 wheat and 35 wasabi. And when you do these quest lines, when you're helping out these villagers, you can go and you can buy a lot of these things just right from the villagers themselves. So here's an herb trader. I bought 35 wasabi from her. At 4 a piece, that was nothing. It cost me 150 or 140 or 150 coin. So now I have 140, or sorry, I have 35 wasabi, which is handy. There's then also the farming trader, which we'll talk to him. I ended up buying these 2 soybean bags. The reason for that is that soybeans are only grown in the spring. They are one of the few plants that are only one season, and it is really worth having soybeans because it makes great recipes and you get a lot of resources from it. but you aren't going to be able to plant them anytime other than spring, so I really want to jump in on that. You don't need to buy fertilizer or water buckets unless you're doing the farming, and if you are, you could buy them here if you want. You can also buy the fertilizer to make your life easier, since it's sometimes hard to come by early on, since you don't really have a way of composting over seasonal change. You might also note that I can buy wheat from him for basically nothing. It cost me 100 coins just to get that started. That's easy. And then what I did was I turned that in to the head woman here, and then we had our next quest line finished. And when you do that, by all means, you don't have to do these quests like I'm doing. You don't have to min-max this out and try to get as much out of this early part as you want. It's up to you. Take your time. Play the game the way you want to. There is a quest that is following up here, and I noticed that I can't actually see the fast travel location, but I know I have to hold down F, so I am. Alright, I'm going back to Seashells. It costs you 10 coin per travel. I'm guessing that'll change in time. And now we told Toshichi that we would build our village up, and this is going to be it. We're going to consider this the end of the day. We'll talk to Toshichi, and then we'll get Akko home, and then we'll go from there. I built a house, he's impressed, and then he's going to talk to me about a few things, and he's going to ask me about these different people, and I just want to make sure I can get that going. So yeah, there are quest lines now that we can follow. I was going to tell y'all to buy a yellow chrysanthemum from the herbs trader, but I realized there's enough being squeezed out of this day already, so let's not go too far over the top. I think we're doing pretty well for our start here. And we'll go back and get Akko a home, and that'll call it quits for us for the day and for our first episode, and after that I'll do the next and we'll focus on a skill there. Alrighty, there we go, village is reborn, and again, that's another reason why I kind of like this idea of rebuilding as a Seashells if you choose to. Alright, I'm going to go to population, and I'm going to click on her, and I'm going to click on assign home, player village, small house, and boom, there we go. And then I'm also going to get me a home, right? Like, I'll live with her because we're traveling friends. The other small house, I still have to put another sleeping pad in. Now, she is unemployed, but I don't have any buildings to employ her, so we're good to go. Alrighty, we'll do what Smokey the Bear would appreciate, which is destroying that campfire, even though it's probably in a pretty safe spot. Thank you for joining me all in this first episode. I hope this has helped you make a great start to your game, a best start to your game, and I look forward to seeing you next time around. Take care.